adventures, and I am thrilled and super excited to get to hike the John Muir Trail. The middle of August to the first week of September is my planned duration, expecting to be on trail for about 21 days. Now I'll explain why. Ultimately, today's video is going to elaborate on my gear selection for the John Muir Trail. It's really going to focus on the pieces and parts that I've done research on and decided on specific equipment, and I'm going to explain why I chose it, the details, the weight behind it. I'm not an ultralight backpacker, I'm a lightweight backpacker. So including food and water, my gear is going to be 41 pounds out the door with 7 days worth of food. Let's get into it. The first thing that I'd like to discuss is the backpack. I'm going with the Durston Kakwa 55. Ultimately, this is a 55-liter pack that is extremely lightweight. It only starts out at 29 ounces. Has amazing space. You can fit the Baravolt 500, which we'll discuss later, inside of it. Certain portions of it you can lay it horizontally, just not at the very bottom. I've added some extra bungee cord for the outside to maintain gear. You'll see where I typically will put my trekking poles, but the great thing about this is it has a huge kangaroo pouch on the front of it to get to things extremely easy. The black lace helps with the discreetness of what's in there, but it still gives you that visibility where you can absolutely see inside and you can grab for what you are looking for without having to mess around for too long. With the pouches on the side for the hip belt, it makes grabbing convenient snacks, cell phone, anything that you just want on hand extremely easy. You're not reaching the whole way around, and there's one on each pouch. The belt, when I've hiked the Appalachian Trail, the hip belt as well as the pack itself feels amazing. It contours to your body. The ability to get into different pouches reaching back, if you have the dexterity, is easy to grab water bottles or anything if you want to put them over here. There's a side zipper pouch. Everything is seam sealed on here. So being able to get into a secondary pouch that is secondary to this exterior pouch here just adds to that storage space. And unlike some of the other brands that have ultralight backpacks similar to this, we're not buying accessories to add to it, which was a huge factor for me when I'm looking at cost versus weight versus what I need to do to make it mine. But you can easily fit 2 1-liter bottles in each one of these. Depending on your height, they might be close to your face. I didn't have a problem standing 5'9", but the water bottles make it super convenient. I don't have to reach around to the sides if I don't need to, and they're right there. The GoPro camera strap I can put here and it doesn't interfere with my water bottle. As I hike the trail, that's going to be a separate portion, a secondary video. This is going to lead up to the hike. That one will take you on the hike. And then the third video, after I finish the hike, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do an in-depth review of all the gear that I took on the trail with me, if it was effective, if I would swap it out, or if I would absolutely keep the same gear if I was to do the JMT again. But the Durston 55 is my absolute favorite. It's been with me on the Appalachian Trail. Now it's time to go out west. The next piece of gear that I want to talk about is the tent, the shelter. Staying with Durston, with the backpack, I'm also using Durston's X-Mid 2-person tent. The big thing here for me is it's only 35.9 ounces, so let's just round it up and say 36 ounces, including the stuff stack. I like the 2-wall tent because I hike back and forth. Being from the East Coast and the Southeast, I deal with humidity a lot, and the condensation from single wall tents is a little, it's something that I want to avoid. So having a 2-wall tent gives me the ability to have extra room in the 2-person tent for all of my gear, to include my backpack and everything. I like that inside rather than under the reversibles, just in case we have a lot of rain and it puddles up outside. I'm not worrying about trying to either bring wet gear into the tent or having flooded gear the next morning. So having a lot of room in this tent makes it extremely enticing for me, as well as being able to avoid anything exterior. Two-wall tent also lessens my condensation. But because it's a two-wall tent, I don't have to pitch the fly. So if I'm on the JMT and it's a beautiful starry night out there and I just want something that is covering my gear, maybe to get away from mosquitoes or any insects or something, I just want to be slightly separated, but I want to enjoy the evening, get that full breeze and everything, Durston makes the Stargazer kit. This ultimately lets you pitch this tent without the fly whatsoever, since this is a trekking pole tent. I can use my trekking poles to still hold it up with the Stargazer kit, and I can just watch and enjoy all of nature the entire time I'm in my tent without having to use the fly. And just as extra precautionary and extra protection, I got the Durston ground sheet that matches the footprint of the Durston X-Mid 2, so I can alleviate any type of potential rubbing, abrasion. I can protect my tent. For that, I'm going to take 8 total MSR groundhog stakes. 4 of them are the minis. I only need 4 to pitch this tent correctly. The extras would be if I want to stake out the guidelines. I take 8 overall, and I really like this lightweight Dynamia stuff sack that I can put these in. It has a very large mouth on it, so when I'm looking down there, if I only want to grab the minis, I can go in there and I can only grab the minis based off of 1, being able to see through the bag, and 2, I can actually fit my hand in to them without having to have that regular square shape. So, the X-Mid 2P. The next piece of equipment is the sleep system. Ultimately, I go for a quilt. I'm a tosser turner. I like something that moves with me. So the quilt system allows me to lay it out more like a typical mattress. And for my brand, I really love Zenbivy. I've used them on the Appalachian Trail several times. This is a 25-degree quilt. I hiked up Mount Katahdin last September, late September, and with this 25-degree sleeping quilt, I was warm every single night. What this really consists of through Zenbivy is their light bed. Their light bed, it has an R rating of 5. It weighs 24 ounces, which is probably the heaviest piece of equipment out of my sleep system. So when you're thinking ultralight, this is probably not the ultralight, although it has come up with an ultralight, which lessens everything by a couple ounces. Once again, this is the 25-degree down sleeping quilt. I then can fit everything into one stuff sack with a compression cap. The sheet, the fast sheet, has your connection points where everything is color coded and actually connects straight to the sleeping quilt to make it less drafty. And you can actually set this all up so that it keeps you extremely warm at night, extremely lightweight. This sleeping quilt is their 25-degree long version, and it only weighs 23 ounces. For my personal preference, some people consider it a luxury item. I use a sleeping bag liner from C2 Summit. I like their cotton silk mixture. It may add a little bit of temperature to the actual sleeping bag, but the biggest thing is just keeping my sleeping bag clean. After a couple days, if not weeks on the trail, you're gonna take some stuff from the day into your sleep system at night. And I try to keep that just a little bit cleaner because it's super easy to throw this into any laundromat, washing machine, dryer, and wash it anytime I get a chance to go into town or go to a hostel, anything like that, even along the trail. It's a whole lot harder to throw a down sleeping system, quilt, bag, anything into a washer or dryer due to the down. So I use this to be a little bit more hygienic, and it only is approximately 5 to 6 ounces extra. So luxury, I'll take the item. For my pillow, I'm a side sleeper, so I need something that'll lift my head up off the ground. With the Eros pillow, I use the down version just for that nice soft comfort on the top of it. It's not a thick layer of down or anything like that. It's not what you would expect with your home pillow, but it gets your face off of the inflatable bladder just a little bit more. It gives you that additional comfort, makes you feel a little bit more like at home. Now when you combine your mattress, a nice open quilt with a sheet and a down pillow, you have a very, very good night's sleep. All right, next piece of equipment is going to be food and water. As I mentioned, my entire weight of my pack is about 41 pounds, give or take 0.x amount of ounces. But in my BearVault 500, I can fit 6 days of the food that I've chosen, and then I can carry 1 day's worth of food in an external Sea to Summit dry bag that I can consume on the trail as long as I eat it all within that day. It does not need to be in the bear canister, but the JMT has rules that all food stored overnight must be in a bear canister, which is why I went with the BV500. The BV500 is a good weight to capacity ratio. With my wonderful stickers all over it, this thing weighs in approximately 42 ounces empty. All right, with food and everything. You can check out my link to my lighter packs, and you can see what food I'm actually taking for my first week on trail. My second resupply, or my first resupply, will show up at VVR. My second resupply will show up later on the trail through a pack train. With that, I will have another video on how I pack my BearVault, and you can check that out on the channel in the future. Ultimately, the BV500 high capacity, it's a little heavier than what I would like, but it's going to keep my food safe. But being able to see through it and being able to just go in there and pick. Now I do stack this relatively in line with my days of food, but being able to see exactly what I'm reaching for from the side, not just from the top, makes life easy. And what makes this easier is that the BearVault 500 does not require a tool to open like some of the other canisters out there. So I can sit on this and still open it the next day, not having to jam anything or turn anything or carrying additional tools. And I say that because I do have some luxury items that we're about to talk about that I have to offset weight somewhere, but I'm really, really going to enjoy the JMT because of my luxury items. With that being said, water. I carry 2 1-liter water bottles at all times. Ultimately, I keep these things filled with Peak Refuel drink mixes that have some electrolytes, a little bit of caffeine. I also carry Water Boy for my electrolytes, 1,000 milligrams of sodium per stick, as well as carrying Element or LMNT for some additional electrolytes. Depending on which route I'm going, I try to mix it up between the 3 different flavor packets, but ultimately, rarely will I just drink straight water. I will, but I try to get something out of everything that I'm doing. And if I'm walking and I'm hiking and the sweat is pouring, I want to replace those nutrients and minerals as much as I can as I supplement my food. It's really easy to take a drink with some electrolytes and keep moving. For my purification, I rely solely on Sawyer. I've used this the entire Appalachian Trail in sections, as well as last September when I did the Mount Katahdin portion and the 100-mile wilderness. Sawyer was my go-to. Now, I can either just screw this directly onto a smart water bottle and I can call it a day and keep on hiking. Now that does add several inches and a lot of top weight to your water bottle. And as I mentioned, I like to put electrolytes in here, so I try not to do that. But what I can do, and what I often do, is I can connect this to my 3-liter CNOC bladder, and I can not do anything, no adapters, no anything. I can gravity feed this in camp at night, and I can have fresh water for my dehydrated, freeze-dried meals. I can take this bladder and I can squeeze it through to do a fast fill on the trail. And then I can take this, leave it open, have it set in my mesh bag on the outside of my Durston pack, and I can let it air dry the entire time as it is quickly accessible to grab and refill water along the trail. Now the JMT is known for having a lot of water, especially on those high snow years where there's a lot of runoff and there's a lot of streams, high rivers, things like that. So I'm not as concerned with finding water as I am with just having clean drinking water. And that's why I rely on that Sawyer. No matter what, I can rely on that to at least provide me with clean, safe drinking water. But that's what I do for food and water. The next equipment I want to talk about is my worn clothing. The things that I'm going to wear from the time I get to the trail and start my hike. Now, for me, the first thing I want to talk about is shoes. A lot of hikers nowadays, whether it's the Appalachian Trail, whether it's the Pacific Crest Trail, whether it's the Continental Divide, or any trail in between there, a lot of hikers are moving more towards trail runners. They have the lugs on the bottom for great traction. They're lighter weight. They don't provide necessarily as much ankle support, but a lot of people don't feel they need it as much when it comes to old style hiking boots. Now, that is a personal preference and it's solely dependent on your feet. My feet, I have long, thin feet, so anything where I get room in there, I'm happy with. So my choice is Topo Athletic Pursuits. Topo Athletic specifically designed these shoes for through hiking. Their durability, their lugs on the bottom, the soles, the rock plates, the comfort, and the extremely roomy toe box is all designed to increase comfort along the trail. Plus, the color is amazing. Now, with that, a lot of people switch out their insoles. And this is where I kind of need your help with commenting below on which insoles you typically use when you go for a hike. I bought 2 different styles. I bought the Super Feet Run. These I have been using several times throughout my military career in my running shoes for my physical fitness assessments, things like that. But back in my days of skateboarding and in my work boots for the military, I use FP insoles. FP insoles they're all over the internet. They drop bowling balls on several different brands of insoles, and you'll see the bowling ball bounce. When you drop it on the FP insoles, it almost absorbs all shock, approximately 90% of it, and it is contested to be one of the best out there. Now, I have both of these perfectly sized and ready to go to put in these shoes. So comment below which ones you recommend or which insoles you use in general so that I can be better informed on making my shoes as comfortable as possible for the 211 plus miles I'm about to hike on the JMT. After that, we've got the Kettle Mountain Apparel Shenanigan pants. I absolutely love these pants. The stretch on them is there. They're slightly, moderately waterproof, so any initial rain or anything does not just quickly get absorbed into them, and they dry extremely quick if they do get saturated. It has a movable belt built in so that you can maintain that hiker stomach as you start losing weight and still keep your pants up. Inside, it has some stay right tape, if you want to call it that, but if you tuck in your shirt, it helps maintain that level of comfort. It doesn't let things just slide around. Everything about these pants I absolutely love. The button on the front helps, and I'm not worried about popping a button as I'm hiking and having to sew another button on. The clasp there holds, the belt keeps everything extremely secure. I love these pants. I wear these pants. I could go to the gym and do squats in these pants. They're so flexible, they stretch. They are the epitome of comfortable. For my shirt, I like the idea of having a sun shirt in the High Sierra. I'm in a very, very sunny place on the East Coast. The sun likes me, I like the sun, but I'm not necessarily used to my skin being 10,000 to 15,000 feet closer to the sun. So I want to have a sun shirt. This 10,000 versatile long sleeve shirt is extremely lightweight. It's only about 7 ounces total with sleeves. It gives you great sun protection. Because of its lightweight and breathable fabric, it dries extremely fast. So sweat, rain, anything that I come in contact with between these pants and this shirt, I should be protected from the sun, and I should dry extremely quickly. Now, for socks, I have 3 different brands that I'm going to be taking along, 1 pair of each brand. There's a lot of hype around these toe socks right now that I'm going to try to focus on because I want to alleviate any potential blisters. I don't typically get blisters easily, so I'm not overly concerned. Plus, in my first aid kit that I'll show you in a little bit, I have plenty of stuff to take care of it. But if I can mitigate it with some toe socks, despite that they look a little funky and I've never really worn toe socks in my life, I plan on using those at least initially to alleviate anything as I start developing my hiker legs. In addition to that, I have the Lecky trekking poles. I've never been like a trekking pole hiker, but they go with my tent and it does make the trail a little bit easier. The first time I used trekking poles was for Mount Katahdin last September, and it does help. Once again, I added some cordage on the side, so for those easy portions of the trail, I do plan on just throwing these in the side pouch of my backpack, zipping that cordage down, and not worrying about these things until I need them at night. But for the areas that I could incur a little bit of instability, I'm going to use these to stabilize, whether that's fording a river, whether that's some of the uneven terrain that is known to be on the JMT. I have some ability to make life easier. On top of that, Pittsburgh Pirates, yes, they're awesome, I know, but this hat has been with me through just about everything over the last 4 or 5 years. It's going to protect some of my face, neck, head area from the sun, as well as give me some cover for my eyes so that I'm not blinded the entire time. I don't know if I'll wear it the entire time, but it does give me the opportunity to wear it like I did for the entire Mount Katahdin trip. This is what I plan to wear. Again, comment below to tell me which insoles you prefer or which ones you would suggest. All right, so we just talked about what I'm going to wear on the trail day 1. Some ultralight backpackers will only need 1 change of clothes. I prefer, with my military background, to have redundancy. So anytime I can have something to have as a backup or a replacement, I try to have it. Plus, I really like layering. Layering will help me maintain body temp as I move up and down through altitudes, going from the beginning of the day to the middle of the day to the end of the day. Temperatures change, elements change, and sometimes things just break, rip, or get destroyed. So for redundancy, layering, as well as maintaining the elements throughout the day, this is the clothing I'm going to pack. Now, in pack, I typically will use this 13 liter Sea to Summit dry bag. Once again, maintaining everything for the weather. Once you start compartmentalizing things in bags where it's easy to find, locate, pack, and store in your backpack, I don't think you'll ever go back. I used to just throw everything in my pack, the sleeping bag at the bottom of the pack, it just makes, it self-forms to your pack, which is nice because you're utilizing space that you might not otherwise utilize, but it's super easy to know that everything's gonna stay dry. It's all gonna be organized, easy to find where I need it in my backpack. So I store everything in the Sea to Summit dry bag. With that, for the other side of the world, if my pants and my long sleeve shirt become too warm, too dirty, ripped, torn, no longer usable, I'm going to switch up to shorts and a t-shirt. So for my shorts, these 7-ounce shorts that have pockets on both sides, as well as zipper pocket on the back. Super fast drying, made primarily of spandex and nylon. They stretch in every form and fashion, and they are ridiculously comfortable. This waistband really helps out with keeping them fit, whether you're losing weight, gaining weight on the trail, depending on how much you eat or don't eat. These are super comfortable, and they're my go-to in terms of wearing shorts. I wear 10,000 brand shorts, whether it's their interval, their foundation, their distance shorts, all of their shorts I love wearing to the gym on a daily basis. Speaking of 10,000, I also really like their light shirt. Once again, this is extremely thin, extremely lightweight. This is less than 4 ounces for the entire shirt. It has everything that you need: sun protection, lightweight, quick drying. I love their gear. Saying I love their gear doesn't go any further than trying to layer up. So when things start getting cold or at night, I can slip into their overzip, which just adds a little bit of warmth to whatever I'm doing. If I need something to, let's say that I'm having a really cold night and I need to add something to my sleeping bag, I can easily just throw this lightweight, long sleeve shirt over top. It has the pocket on the front. I can easily slide my phone in there to keep my phone, my electronics warm, as well as keep an alarm clock for the next morning close to me, and it's not rolling around my sleeping bag. So now I'm keeping my electronics warm, I'm keeping myself warm, I'm not losing electronics throughout my tent, and it's super, super comfortable. Now, if it starts raining, despite all of my quick drying clothing, I want to try to stay as dry as possible. But I also want something that's going to breathe really, really well as I'm moving through the mountain passes. Whether that be Mather Pass, Murr Pass, Sheldon Pass, all of these passes are going to have me really high. I'm going to want to stay warm, but there's potential for those thunderstorms and things like that as they go through the pass. So with that, I'm using the Outdoor Research Microgravity as my rain jacket. It is super lightweight for a rain jacket, but more importantly, it is extremely breathable. The fabric stretches. It has the ability to open up some air pockets so that you can maintain your body temperature as well as being dry. Because a lot of the times when you wear rain gear, you're going to soak yourself underneath anyways just from sweat. This helps combat that by being a little bit more breathable, keep you dry from the elements and dry from your own sweat. But let's say that we need to get a little bit warmer. The tried, the true, the extremely packable, the extremely lightweight Mountain Hardwear Gear Ghost Whisperer 2. This, for its weight, which is approximately 9 ounces for the large, you're packing down to almost nothing in terms of size. Keeps you extremely warm. So if the overzip doesn't keep me warm, I can then layer it with this Ghost Whisperer 2 in my bed, early mornings cooking my breakfast, or in the evenings cooking my dinner, or as we get to my luxury items, if I feel like doing that at night, I can wear this and maintain some nice, comfortable, lightweight warmth. As I mentioned earlier, from the clothing worn, I have 3 different brand socks, and I'm taking 1 pair of each of the 3. So I have my features, and I absolutely love, especially when you pair them with your trail runners, the tabs at the back make them not slide down over your heel. The amount of thick bottom cushion only adds to the insoles. The comfort on these socks is ridiculous. I use these primarily for my running socks, but they are amazing. So I can't wait to see how they work out for me on the JMT. The tried, the true, everybody recommends darn tough socks. These are what I used while I hiked the Appalachian Trail up at the northern terminus at Baxter Peak. Ultimately, these darn tough socks, with their warranties and everything, nothing comes close. Again, extremely thick bottoms for comfort. They don't have the nodules at the back for the no slip, but I've never had these slip down, so I'm not as concerned. Once again, love the brand, love the socks. I'm gonna keep all 3 on the trail with me for the JMT, and I'm going to rotate through them because military feet, keep your feet dry. Even Forrest Gump talked about it in his movie. So the next thing, alpine lakes. Alpine lakes means swimming. Swimming means getting wet. Getting wet means you need to dry off. All right, all of that to say, the Sea to Summit Aerolite towel is extremely big for its weight. This is the large, which is approximately 24 inches by 68 inches, and this is going to be a quick drying. You can easily attach this to your backpack as you hike and let it air dry if it's not drying fast enough for you. But it's a nice, easy way to dry off after taking one of those nice polar bear jumps, polar bear plunges, because I do plan on getting in the water. Now, with that, I mentioned my hat keeping the sun out of my eyes, but these sunglasses are epic. All right, these are the unsinkable mariners. Unsinkable. They float. They're light enough to float, and they're polarized. So you drop these in the water, you're not going to lose them right away. That is awesome. Polarized. You can see through water. You see where I'm getting. All right, I love these. They're not ridiculously expensive. You're not paying Ray-Ban prices. You're not paying anything outrageous for these, and they're long lasting. They come with warranties. I love these sunglasses. So the unsinkable mariners only go into the next portion. All right, the polarized portion does not fit into electronics, but electronics are a big component in modern society. There are a lot of people that like to film their thru hikes. There's a lot of people out there that are doing TikToks, YouTube, things like that. So everybody's carrying electronics. Now, whether that is your cell phone put on airplane mode till you get to an area that you know has service, or whether it is a full up camera setup that you're filming every portion of your hike, every portion of your day on. Electronics are a big portion of a lot of people's weight. Now, with that, there's ways to cut down weight, but again, I'm not an ultralight backpacker, I'm a lightweight backpacker. So, the Garmin InReach, the SOS satellite communication portion, has the SOS on the side. If I need to get saved, which bad things happen all the time, I feel like I have the security with me. Whether that is allowing my family to track where I am through satellite breadcrumbs, or whether that is getting a helicopter to come save me because I no longer can do what I thought I could do. I'm going to keep that on me. Now, I'm filming with my GoPros. So I don't have the GoPro here, but I'm going to be taking the GoPro 11 with 3 batteries, as well as a battery charger that is not on this table. So add GoPro here, GoPro charger here, and 3 batteries here and here. All right, once you have all of that, then you have my electronics. I'm going to take one cord because everything from my iPhone 15 to my GoPro to my headlamp to even my flex tail air pump takes the Type-C charger. So I can get away with everything charging off of one cord. Now that does limit me to only charging one thing at a time. Comment below if you think I need to take 2. I do have 2 different ports. As we get through this, you can further explain and see what I'm working with, and if you have any recommendations, please let me know, because once again, this is my pre-planned gear. This does not necessarily equate to what exactly I will be taking on the trail with me, depending on your comments. But as of right now, I plan on taking this one cord. Now, with that being said, I have a piece of worn gear on me that I use on a daily basis, but it fits best into the electronics, and that's my Fenix 7X Pro Garmin watch that is going to give me altitude, it's going to give me my heart rate, it's going to track steps, mileage, has GPS on it. Everything about this helps me get through my daily life, but on trail more than anything, this also has the solar capability. So with the solar capability, what that does mean is that I'm going to not wear down my battery as fast. Now, with that being said, the solar power for the Fenix 7X doesn't equate to charging the battery. So I'm just going to slow down the battery drain on it. But Garmin does take a different type or different style plug to charge the watch. And again, I'm a lightweight, not an ultralight backpacker, so I need to find a way to charge my watch without having to bring additional gear just specific to this watch. So what I did was I went out there and I found a Type-C to Garmin converter. Now what this does is this allows me to take my Type-C cord, plug it in, and now I can charge my watch off the exact same cord. It also gives me a very, very small piece to lose. Now, with all of that being said, my experience with the Garmin Fenix 7X Pro watch, as I've been wearing this watch for a couple months now, is that I really only have to charge this watch about once a month, and that is specifically talking to me doing running on twice a week, me doing strength training exercises 5 days a week, and I track every activity I do with my watch. This is also still set up to receive messages and everything that a smartwatch can do. I have an iPhone, so I can't send messages through my watch, but I get all notifications. So all notifications and tracking all of my activity through this watch, I still only have to charge it about once a month, and at best about once every 3 weeks. If I'm planning on taking this hike and finishing in about 21 days, I should have plenty of battery. So if this little component does get lost somehow, I should be able to make it with my watch. Now the watch does have alarms and everything else on it, so I'm super stoked to take this single component with me, but this is how I'm going to limit myself to a single cord. Now, with that, I have the Nightcore NU43. This I specifically got due to the lumens. I can push out over 1,000 lumens with this, while most backpackers are 500 or less lumens on their headlamp. With that being said, do I need all those lumens? No. But for 4 ounces, it's really hard to pass up knowing that you're going to have a lot of light. And that is just on its highest setting. This has multiple settings, so I don't have to be blinding the top of Mount Whitney from the bottom, but I have the capability to, which to me is fun. So my headlamp 4 ounces, just over 4 ounces. I have multiple settings to include strobe, lighter weight, not the lightest. Now, with that being said, I am taking 3 batteries. I am filming my entire hike for a documentary of the John Muir Trail. With that, I need power. So I do have the Nightcore Carbo 20,000. I am looking at this as my primary power bank. I do have the Type C in and out, as well as the traditional USB-A. I have the ability to see my power remaining in terms of LED lights. Now, I am taking a lot of camera equipment and I plan on doing a lot of filming. I really want to make this a documentary that can be reviewed, edited down to the most significant portions. But as I mentioned, I'm taking a luxury item. I really want to focus on filming the luxury side of my hike. I think I'm going to need more power. So I'm also taking a lightweight Anchor 10,000 battery pack. So I'll have 30,000 milliamps or MOAs total for my entire hike to power my headlamp, my GoPro batteries, my watch, my Garmin, and maybe my air pump. Speaking of air pump, I am going to be taking this Flextail tiny pump. I've used this to blow up the air mattress as well as several other things during my hike in Maine when I was doing the northern terminus. Now, this thing with 2 presses of a button, you get a lot of air. Now, it doesn't take long to blow up that air mattress, but there's really no reason that I can't blow it up myself. This is about 4 ounces of extra weight that I don't need to carry. This is a luxury item to me. I may or may not officially take this with, but it does save me a little breath after using my lungs going up and down all of these mountains on the John Muir Trail at the end of the evening to pump up both my pillow and my sleeping pad. Comment below if you think I should or should not take it. There's pros and cons to both. All right, for the next piece of gear selection, we're going to talk about cookware. Now, I'm taking a lot of freeze-dried food and snacks, so really what I'm only heating up is water for those meals. I have repackaged all of those meals from their freeze-dried packaging to quart freezer Ziplocs, where I am able to still put boiling water into those Ziploc bags without sacrificing too much. And I am taking 2 of the foil packs that the freeze-dried food came in for heat consolidation, so that I'm not just trying to use a Ziploc bag to maintain the boiling hot water temperature, so that I'm not decreasing the cook time too much. Now, with that, I have the Toaks 75 or 750 milliliter titanium pot, which is more than enough to cook as much water as I need for that food. Now, for my luxury, this might or might not be a little too small to cook other stuff, but for the time being, my Toaks pot is going to be able to cook all my water required for any of my meals, and that is the important side of it, because I do have meals for breakfast that I plan on cooking, as well as for lunch and for dinner. I'm going to be cooking a lot on the trail, but I'm specifically doing that to give myself pacing, to allow myself to slow down at certain portions. On the Appalachian Trail, I and many other hikers would do 20 miles a day, and we really wouldn't think too much about it because you would be able to grab a snack food type thing out of your backpack, whether that be tortilla and Nutella or any other concoction that we could create to get high calories. I really focused on next mile meals and peak refuel for my meal choice, with next mile meal being specific to keto, so lower carbs, higher protein, whereas my peak refuel has the balance between carbs, fat, and proteins. But I'm trying not to solely rely on snack foods that I would see often on the Appalachian Trail. I'm focusing more on wholesome nutrition on the John Muir Trail because it's only 211 miles. Yes, I'm going to carry more weight. Yes, I'm going to fill up my bear canister a whole lot more than the average person carrying calorie-dense snack foods. And I'm hoping that I can be healthier because of it. That's really all it is. I'm just trying not to give up on my nutrition and my health in terms of my eating content while I'm on the trail. There's pros and cons to that, so comment below if you have a better idea. I tried filling up the BB 500 with nothing but olive oil, and I chose that chugging olive oil the entire trail is calorie dense and highly healthy, but the weight of olive oil filling up that entire cubic inch of the BV 500, the weight to flavor ratio just wasn't there. So I pushed that to the side. Next Mile Meals, Peak Refuel are my primary food substances for meals, and then Honey Stinger, whether that be their waffles, their chews, or their gel packs, all of those are in there, as well as Paleo Valley beef sticks. I pushed in there 2 per day to get me about 12 grams of protein per 1.1 ounce of beef stick. I have many different flavors, from teriyaki to original to jalapeno to summer sausage to garlic summer sausage. Amazing flavors, great snack stick. I have those in there, as well as my drink mixes that we talked about earlier. And then we have Scratch Lab gummies / chews, however you want to look at it, that are going to also augment some of my carbs and sugar intake to keep myself going. But this is my overall setup for cooking said meals. So I have a pocket stove that has a self-igniter on it. And I know that self-igniters, some people say, end up going out eventually, which is why I'm taking the mini Bics as well. The mini Bic weighs almost nothing. This will be able to set up nice and easy. These fold out, which will hold the toques perfectly. And this screws directly on to your pot. And that's what it will look like as a whole contraption. Now, with all of that being said, this is super lightweight. Because I'm cooking 3 meals a day at times. Some of my breakfasts are not cooking. Some of them are just granola from Peak Refuel. But because the majority of them are going to be heated up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I am focusing on the 230 gram canisters, which have about 13 ounces to them. This is a little bit heavier, but I feel like I'm going to need it for the cooking that I plan on doing, especially when you incorporate my luxury item, which might lead to a little bit additional cooking, potentially. I use the Sea to Summit long spoon. The forks are great, but the sporks sometimes puncture the Ziploc bags or puncture even the foil packages that freeze-dried food typically comes in. So spoons are great because you don't run that risk. And the long handle spoons make sure that your hands don't get any more dirty than they have to reaching into those quart-sized Ziploc bags. Now, not that I may or may not need it, but I had a custom Benchmade knife made. This thing only weighs 1.5 ounces, so it is ridiculously lightweight for what it is. And with that, I've got something that I'm going to have a hard time losing. But going further into my luxury item, I might need a knife at times. Not 100% sure. We'll see how it goes. But this consists of my cook kit. All right, for our second to last piece of categorized gear is going to be my miscellaneous side of my letter packs. With that being said, really this is the stuff that doesn't necessarily fall in any other category, but things I feel like I have to take or I want to take for my own necessity. Now, granted, on the JMT, like most trails, leave no trace is a high emphasized item. So, the trowel. This is made by Bulgur. I got this off of the Garage Grown Gear. It's super lightweight, but what I like most about it is it has the plastic tab at the top, so when you're pushing in, unlike a lot of the other lightweight, ultralight aluminum handles, a lot of them dig into your hands or cut you. That little plastic piece gives you a lot of ability to push it into the dirt, as well as cut through roots and get around rocks without really damaging this too much. For the price and for the ability to save my hands just a little bit, I think this is going to go a long way, as well as being measured out to be 6 inches, so which is the minimum distance of digging a cat hole. I really like the idea of tabletized toothpaste. So there's a company, Huppy, off of Garage Grown Gear. They have charcoal mint and other flavors that they will have available. You just bite on these, your saliva activates them, and you brush your teeth like normal toothpaste. What this does do is it gets rid of the plastic tubes. It creates, there's no waste in terms of trying to get every last bit of toothpaste out of that tube as possible. You kind of just drop one in your mouth, chew each side, and then take your toothbrush, which is also off of Garage Grown Gear. You brush your teeth and you move on with your day. Maintain dental hygiene as well as lessen the waste that we're producing, right? So some waste that I'm going to do, these individualized or these individually packed cold showers by Duke. I got these first when I was deployed in Afghanistan and Iraq. They came through in care packages. They're not ginormous towels, but they help so much with getting the sweat off you at the end of a long, hot day. And what I like to do is I use one of these per night before I crawl into my sleeping bag, my sleeping quilt. And I just like to get the main areas, starting with my face and moving down. And I try to get as much salt / sweat off my body as possible. These have a light hint of eucalyptus to them, so they have a cooling methane effect as well as a good smell. What that does is allows you to go to bed a little cooler and a little cleaner. And I like to use those to supplement my alpine lake baths. Another piece of equipment that I created based off of other thru hikers that I've been researching and following is I have my own landmark and mileage destination that I kind of printed out, color coded, and then laminated at Office Depot, right? So I took the entire trail from where I'm planning on starting and the mileage associated, and then I went all the way to Whitney Portal. And then while I did that, I listed the elevations and different fun facts, as well as the distance I was going to hike that day. What that helps me do is know, based on my mileage and the elevation at which I'm planning on stopping, I use that to calculate where I wanted to stop. I don't want to sleep too high or too low based off of the elevation gain or loss I did that day. So when I was planning this out, I have my resupplies and everything annotated on here, and then I laminated it for weather durability, and then I can slide this into the outer side of my package or my backpack, and I have like a quick reference sheet. And I color coded it by day. So like blue is where I'm gonna hike one day, then white, and then the next day's blue. And this helps color code everything for me to be like, okay, my very first night, I should be stopping at the Lyle Fork footbridge for the night. And that's where my campsite's gonna be.
And then I know exactly how many miles I hike each day and where I'm supposed to stop. Now, this is completely pre-planned, so I don't know where I'm going to stop exactly. There may be some days that I'm planning on hiking 6 miles and I do 18 miles. This is just a guideline and a quick reference sheet to kind of give me, hey, if I see this landmark, I'm this far into the trail. And then I kind of did the same thing, but pictorially with the elevation gain. So I saw somebody else build something similar, so I opened up Excel and I regenerated everything for a quick reference. So I have my own little, like, this is for hiking fun purposes, don't use this as navigation, but I have each of the landmarks on here as a data plot along this trail with the elevation gain. So each of the peaks, so Donahue Pass, Silver Pass, Sheldon Pass, and then on the backside we have Murr Pass, Mather Pass, Glen Pass, Forester, and Mount Whitney. Each one of those is lined up, and then I have these separated orange dashed lines that indicate where I'm supposed to stop that correlates to this. This is more of a pictorial, and this is more of like a literacy based one. But both of these are quick reference sheets to let me know where I'm at on my timeline, my pre-planned and my preconceived timeline. Now, during this, I've seen several people, specifically, I've been following Sasha. He talks about how when he did his hike in 2022 or 2023, he took soap suds. It's super lightweight, easy way of washing just about anything. It's like an all-purpose, but he said he didn't use this at all. So I have it. I don't know if I'm going to end up washing my clothes with this. Of course, leaving no trace, making sure that if I do wash anything, it's away from a water source. But I'm taking it with the plan that I'm not going to use it, but if I need to use it, at least I have it. And then, of course, before every meal, I have hand sanitizer. I fully expect my hands to get a little dirty, but this is just that quick way of cleaning them if I need to maintain hygiene right before eating primarily. And then, once again, I love my Sea to Summit organizational bags. So they're dry bags. Most of this Miscellaneous will go into a dry bag and then go into the external pouch of my backpack, which will ultimately, once again, organize it, make it ease of grabbing it simple, as well as keeping everything together. The last thing in my Miscellaneous pack is a bag of miscellaneous items. This is my repair kit, both human and asset. So in here, I have my first aid kit as well as gear repair. So I have Tylenol or trail Skittles, depending on who you talk to. I have a safety pin just in case inside the bag. I have a set of tweezers for bandages. After getting a lot of tattoos, I learned that this Sanoderm is amazing as like a Band-Aid, right? So it's like a sticky, see-through bandage that a lot of people get put over top of a tattoo to keep any exterior bacteria or anything from getting in. With these, you can cut these down to the right size for blisters, for an open wound, for cuts, scrapes, anything like that. And you can just simply put this over. It also allows you to monitor the wound through it, so you're not continuously pulling a bandage on and off to see how the healing process is going. But it also adds the factor of like humidity under the bandage. So it's not open to the air, which means that any sweat or anything that you do will ultimately create a humid environment, which actually increases the healing process, which is why they use this over tattoos a lot. And then on top of that, I've got some quick cleaning alcohol prep pads just to make sure that things are absolutely disinfected if I can. I got a little piece of moleskin. I don't like moleskin as much, but if you do that little moleskin donut and then you overlap it with the Sanoderm, it creates a bandage that will not come off, but also gives you that anti-friction that the moleskin's supposed to do. Moleskin, a lot of people don't like it because it doesn't stick as much. You combine it with something that does stick very well, it's a very effective blister relief. Antibacterial ointment. I got some gauze. I got tiny little band-aids just in case my luxury item gets me. I've got butterfly stitches in terms of the open butterfly closures. If there's an open wound, I can kind of pull it back together and then hit the Sanoderm over top of it. I have SPF chapstick from Sunbum. I've got fire starters just in case of an emergency. And then I've got larger band-aids if I absolutely need them, as well as a large piece of gauze. That is my lightweight first aid kit to include everything, including the Ziploc bag. This entire first aid kit only weighs about 4 ounces. So it's lightweight, practical, and has pretty much what I may need on a basis to affect me while hiking. All right, and now for the final piece of gear, my luxury item, the thing that I've been talking about through almost every category, and how every piece or portion of the other categories embedded into my luxury item. Yes, the John Muir Trail, this 211-mile in stunning landscape in California, going from Yosemite to Mount Whitney, is going to be incredible, and I'm going to enjoy and love every second of being in the wilderness. It is going to be stunning, especially coming from the East Coast. But what could make it better? As an outdoors enthusiast, nothing can create a better situation than taking an absolute phenomenal experience like hiking the John Muir Trail and adding some fishing to it. Now, with that, I am going to take 2 rods, and these are going to be my luxury items. The 2 rods that I'm going to take is going to be the Tenkara Rod Company's the Zoom. Ultimately, this gives me the ability to go from 10.5 feet to 12 feet for those alpine lakes. I can get a little bit further out, but for the streams, I don't have to be as long. And these are absolutely fun. I don't have to worry about a reel. I don't have to worry about anything. Tenkara fishing is a Japanese style fishing that allows you to just enjoy life in a very simplistic form. And I love simplicity. So with this, you get the outer case, the protective tube, you get a rod sock, and then you get the rod. Now, I've not taken off this plastic yet because I kind of want to keep the cork as clean as possible until I get towards the trail. I'm taking my kids fishing. Look for that video. I'm taking my kids fishing in Pennsylvania for trout here in July, and this is going to be one of the rods I'll let my kids use. So this beautiful clear coating is going to come off one way or another in the very near future. But if you look at just this portion right here, this is where you go from the 10.5 feet by turning and locking out. This portion, I get to go to 12 feet. So this segment right here adds 2 feet. But when it's fully compact, it's about 24 inches long and weighing in at about 2.8 ounces as the rod itself. Now, if you take that and you put it back in the sock, you zip up the sock, you put it back in the tube, and then you put this cap back on. For the Zoom, this is 9.3 ounces as a whole. So that's tube, sock, and rod all right there. 9.3 ounces. So a little over half a pound. Now, once again, military, love redundancy, But more importantly, and I might go on a little bit long about this one, but the Say You. Ultimately, this is Say You. Tony is the main guy I've been talking to and speaking with on a daily basis, but he is in charge of the Say You Institute for Health and Training. He created this rod, and freedom in sincerity, freedom on the fly is his little motto on the top. I love this rod. I love the meaning behind him. Him as a Air Force veteran, taking care of trauma vets as well. He takes great pride in his business and great pride in his rods. So on this one, this is the Say You Therapy 33. Once again, the tube or the rod sock, and then the rod itself. So the Therapy 33. This rod is beautiful. And this one, once again, you've got everything in there. You've got the lily, everything, Lillian, sorry. But this one comes out to be just under 11 feet. It is beautiful. And once again, in July, I'm taking my kids trout fishing in Pennsylvania. They will also get to use this rod. And we're going to play and make a video of that to really emphasize everything. Now, as I mentioned with the Zoom, this Therapy in its sock, in the tube, this one only is 8.3 ounces as a total. So between the two rods, I am, as a luxury item, I am only carrying about an extra pound. Now, that's for the rods, right? So between the Tenkara Rod Company and the Say You rods, I'm also taking a bunch of extra flies. My really good buddy over at NorCal Tenkara, he got me into this as a whole. I made a post about it on Facebook saying that this is really what I'd like to do and I would love to know more information. He jumped into my direct messages and he was like, hey, I would love to give you some more information. Let's talk. And he has talked to me to the day about everything. So he got me hooked up with Tenkara Rod Company. He created these flies. He actually tied some of these for me, and I'm stoked to use them. He's gonna try to live vicariously through me on the JMT, but he has me stoked because he hiked the PCT and did a lot of fly fishing while he was on it. So now I get to kind of take where he left off and I get to run with it with all of his expertise and his experience as information for me getting on the trail. Now we have the furrowed line and we have level line. So Say You has really hooked me up. He went a little heavy on it where he lost count of how many wraps he was giving me for the level line, which I truly love. Tony is an amazing person. I have a ton of level line. I have extra tippet. I have a line holder, but going back to NorCal Tenkara, my buddy over there, he got me hooked up with Ikera, which is a company out of North Carolina who makes these line holder, fly holder containers that are magnetic. So when you shut this, it magnetically stays shut. There's nothing going to be lost. There's everything to it. I love this thing. This is amazing. I haven't fully set it up yet. I can put line on the outside. I can put level line and I can put the ferruled line on the outside of this, and I can carry just this and replace this, and this essentially. And I won't even technically need that, and I have everything I need. Flies, line, tippet, the whole 10 yards, and a touchdown with that. So I am beyond stoked to really take the fly fishing side of this entire trail. The excitement that I have just about this portion of hiking is what I have set up in my itinerary, for a lack of better terms, there's reasons why I'm only hiking 6 miles a day at some portions. And that's just to allow me to really dig deep into fly fishing. And to go back to the therapy side of this business, fly fishing as a therapy, like just getting out in nature, having everything there, working with vets as a vet, I completely understand where he comes from, saying that sincerity is like a synonym for integrity. And as an Air Force person, integrity first is our motto, right? So like looking at this and just being able to utilize Tony's product on the JMT out in the wilderness, hopefully it helps me in a therapeutic sense, because it is just amazing what he has done for other people in those types of situations. Now, as I mentioned, 9.3 ounces, 8.3 ounces, all set up. This whole setup individually, if I didn't compartmentalize it to include the flies that are in the Ikera and this box, that right there is 4.25 ounces, which I can slim down. All of the gear that I've spoken to today gave me a total backpack weight of 41 pounds. And that's with 7 days of food. That's with 2 liters of water already calculated in. That is every last thing on my person or in my backpack going out the door. If you want to see more, I will put in the description, the video description, my lighter pack link. Please take a look at it. Comment below with anything that I could do better, whether it's taking something off the list, putting something on the list, maybe a different recommendation for a way of using gear. But that toke 750 milliliter might be needing to cook some trout soup, because the Grand Slam is the idea for this trip. I want to catch my golden, I want to catch my brook, I want to catch a rainbow, and I absolutely want to catch a brown. The golden being the big one that I want to catch as an emphasis item for the California wilderness. I am stoked to get a chance to do this. So if you want to see me in the future use these rods with my kids up in Pennsylvania catching trout, if you want to see what the JMT looks like to me while fly fishing and hiking the 211 plus mile trail, if you want to just watch an outdoors enthusiast summit some peaks in the pursuit of excellence, subscribe below. Thank you. And that's it. That is the Durston Kakwa 55 backpack loaded up with everything I just briefed you, from the trekking poles to the 2 water bottles to the 2 rods, all of the fishing equipment, the electronics in their dry sack, as well as the miscellaneous, my little quick reference maps, my sunglasses, everything super easy to reach, everything well defined, as well as fully packed in here. If we open up this and we unroll the top, which still goes up a ways, we've got all of our sleep system, all of the sleep system minus the mattress, all in here. We also have our cook kit. Again, see the summit, organization. Maybe the military destroyed my hopes and dreams of ever being disorganized. We've got our X-Mid 2. We've got the full air vault. And we've got all of our extra clothes. And there's still a little bit of room. But that is everything I'm taking on the John Muir Trail in August of 2024. I'll see you out there. Join, subscribe, and join the adventure. Welcome to Peak Pursuits Adventure.